Casey Hendrickson from the Mid-States Construction Studio. Mid-States Construction, one of the nation's leading authorized builders of new core building systems. On News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel, your breaking news and weather station.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Producer Tim screening your phone calls, taking your traffic updates. What's going on traffic-wise, buddy?
There was an accident at the intersection of Sample and 31 in South Bend that was slowing down that intersection.
All right, we appreciate those updates. Of course, if you have anything else for us, please let us know so we can let the audience know as they're heading home this afternoon. 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595-953. You can also send a text message to 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. All right, so Comey Day. That is what everybody is calling it today, Comey Day. Why? Because, well, James Comey gave his testimony today. He actually gave two bits of testimony. He gave testimony earlier in the day at 10 a.m. That was the public hearing. And then, of course, the private hearing happened at 1. We don't know what happened in that. But the public stuff has been interesting, to say the least. And what we have basically, essentially what happened is Comey came in there and said, the Obama administration sucked, Hillary Clinton's campaign sucked, and Donald Trump sucks. That's pretty much what he said. And he said, paraphrasing here, I'm the pillar of integrity and so is the FBI, which the FISA court has just said was totally breaking the law left and right quite a bit under James Comey. He's also being sued because of the things that the FISA court has confirmed, and he's being sued by a former intelligence contractor who has provided physical evidence of this. So there's that. But, you know, pillar and all of that stuff. So anyway, I just want to play the most relevant piece of audio pertaining to Trump that we really heard today. And I think that this is the biggest, question that a lot of people have. The New York Times is their entire narrative on Trump and Russia and everything else totally unfolding. The mainstream media, everything that they have devoted into this Trump-Russia nonsense. And here's Comey, he was asked point blank, hey, is there any evidence of this? Is what Comey had to say.
Did the president at any time ask you to stop the FBI investigation into Russian involvement in the 2016 U.S. elections?
Not to my understanding, no.
Did any individual working for this administration, including the Justice Department, ask you to stop the Russian investigation?
No.
No. Okay, so nobody wanted to stop the investigation. Trump didn't want to stop the investigation. But wait, there's just a little bit more than just, no, he never asked anybody to stop. He actually wanted the investigation, and he encouraged it to go forward.
Let's talk now about the general Russia investigation, okay? In page 6 of your testimony, you say, the first thing you say is, he asked what we could do to, quote-unquote, lift the cloud, the general Russia investigation, and you responded that we were investigating the matter as quickly as we could and that there would be great benefit if we didn't find anything to having done the work well, and he agreed. He reemphasized the problems that was causing him, but he agreed. So in essence, the president agreed with your statement that it would be great if we could have an investigation, all the facts came out, and we found nothing. So he agreed that that would be ideal, but this cloud is still messing up my ability to do the rest of my agenda. Is that an accurate assessment of?
Yes, sir. He actually went farther than that. He said, and if some of my satellites did something wrong, it'd be good to find that out.
Well, that's the second part, and that is the satellites. He said if one of my satellites, I imagine by that he meant some of the other people surrounding his campaign did something wrong, it would be great to know that as well.
Yes, sir. That's what he said.
So are those the only two instances in which that sort of back and forth happened, where the president was basically saying, and I'm paraphrasing here, it's okay, do the Russia investigation. I hope it all comes out. I have nothing to do with anything Russia. It'd be great if it all came out, if people around me were doing things that were wrong.
Yes, as I recorded it accurately there, that was the sentiment he was expressing.
What? New York Times has issued a tweet. Oh, we're reviewing Comey's comments, and we'll get back to you later. I mean, look, the big thing today, folks, is that the entire Russia narrative obliterated. It's just totally and completely obliterated. There is now nobody in government anywhere in this administration or the past that says that there has been anything inappropriate or wrong relating to Trump and Russia. There's nothing. Doesn't exist. So now, the big thing is the celebrities today are out in full force, and they're, what about Flynn? Because Flynn's separate from Russia, even though they're the same, okay? Well, Flynn is an interesting one, because Flynn was the accusation in the New York Times piece about the Comey memo, was that Trump was obstructing justice by asking the FBI director to drop the investigation into General Mike Flynn. So this is kind of the relevant bit of that, because the headlines today and what people are saying is that Comey said that Trump told him to back off of the Flynn investigation, or that Trump told Comey to stop investigating Flynn. He didn't actually say that. It is important that everybody understand the distinction here, because, like I said, the benchmark should be, if you go into a court of law, can you use this? And if you went into a court of law, what it will show is that President Trump said, "Man, I hope you can let this Comey thing go, or this Flynn thing go." And then Comey says that I interpreted that to be an order to not investigate Flynn, but he never actually ordered him to not investigate Flynn. Big difference. And yeah, here's the actual audio so you can hear about it. And then there's a great follow-up question that I will play for you as well that also provides some context. So this is Comey talking about Flynn in that exchange.
Mike Flynn, was that the only time he asked you to hopefully let it go?
Yes.
And in that meeting, as you understood it, he was asking not about the general Russia investigation. He was asking very specifically about the jeopardy that Flynn was in himself.
That's how I understood it. Yes, sir.
And as you perceived it, while it was a request that you hoped you did away with it, you perceived it as an order, given his position, the setting, and the like, and some of the circumstances.
Yes.
At the time, did you say anything to the president about that is not an appropriate request, or did you tell the White House counsel that is not an appropriate request? Someone needs to go tell the president that he can't do these things?
I didn't, no.
Okay. Why?
I don't know. I think, as I said earlier, I think the circumstances were such that I was a bit stunned and didn't have the presence of mind. And I don't know, I don't want to make you sound like I'm Captain Courageous. I don't know whether, even if I had the presence of mind, I would have said to the president, "Sir, that's wrong." I don't know whether I would have. Okay. But in the moment, it didn't come to my mind. What came to my mind is, be careful what you say. And so I said, I agree, Flynn is a good guy.
So on the cloud, we keep talking about this cloud. You perceive the cloud to be the Russian investigation in general.
Yes, sir.
Right? But his specific ask was that you would tell the American people what you had already told him, what you had already told the leaders of Congress, both Democrats and Republicans, that he was not personally under investigation.
Yes, sir.
In fact, he was asking you to do what you have done here today.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. And again, at that setting, did you say to the president that it would be inappropriate for you to do so, and then talk to the White House counsel or anybody, so hopefully they would talk to him and tell him that he couldn't do this?
First time I said, I'll see what we can do. Second time, I explained how it should work, that the White House counsel should contact the Deputy Attorney General.
You told him
the president said, okay, I think that's what I'll do.
And just to be clear, for you to make a public statement that he was not under investigation would not have been illegal, but you felt it made no sense because it could potentially create a duty to correct if circumstances changed.
Yes, sir. We wrestled with it before my testimony, where I confirmed that there wasn't. And there were two primary concerns. One was it creates a duty to correct, which I've lived before, and you want to be very careful about doing that. And second, it's a slippery slope, because if we say the president and the vice president aren't under investigation, what's the principled basis for stopping? Okay. And so the leadership at Justice, Acting Attorney General Bente, said, you're not going to do that.
Okay. So Trump said that he hoped that you could let the Flynn thing go. But you interpreted that to be an order. Yeah. Again, the surroundings and the circumstances and everything else. But again, that's a big difference when we're talking about obstruction. It's a big difference when you're talking about somebody's interpretation of what somebody's saying, because I can interpret what somebody's saying all the time. Doesn't mean I'm correct. If somebody says something and they mean what they say, if I interpret it to mean something else, my opinion isn't valid, because that's all it is. It's just an opinion. It isn't anything substantial or legal. But there was a follow-up to that line of questioning that I thought was very, very interesting with this. And I want you to listen to this, and then we'll go ahead and break. And we can, of course, take phone calls on this. But this is very important. Listen to this very closely.
February the 14th meeting, which is a very important meeting, obviously, as we discuss the conversations here about Michael Flynn. When the president asked you about he hopes that you would let this go, and the conversation back and forth about being a good guy, after that time, did the president ever bring up anything about Michael Flynn again to you? You had multiple other conversations you have documented with the president.
No, I don't remember him ever bringing it up again.
Did any member of the White House staff ever come to you and talk to you about letting go of the Michael Flynn case or dropping it or anything referring to that?
No. Nope.
Did the director of national intelligence come to you and talk to you about that?
No.
Did anyone from the Attorney General's office, the Department of Justice, ask you about that?
No.
Did the head of NSA talk to you about that?
No.
The key aspect here is if this seems to be something the president's trying to get you to drop it, this seems like a pretty light touch to drop it, to bring it up at that moment, the day after he had just fired Flynn, to come back in and say, I hope we can let this go, but then it never reappears again. Did it slow down your investigation or any investigation that may or may not be occurring with Michael Flynn?
No, although I don't know there are any outward manifestations of the investigation between February 14th and when I was fired. So I don't know that the president would have any way of knowing whether it was effective or not.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a very pertinent line of questioning there, because you have multiple senators confirming that Donald Trump never told James Comey, and Comey has admitted this. Donald Trump never told James Comey, drop your investigation of Flynn. He never said it. According to Comey, he says, I hope you can let it go. Comey says, I interpreted that to be an order. But if it was an order, why would the president never come back to him in any capacity, whether personally or through a surrogate? Why would he never come back to Comey and go, why haven't you dropped that investigation? I thought I made myself clear. So the follow-up line of questioning is, if you've interpreted that as an order, and if we're going to go with, okay, that was an order to drop the Flynn investigation, then why didn't the president ever bring it up again? And why didn't anybody else in his administration ever bring it up again? And the investigation was never impacted at all. It's a very good line of questioning. If he's ordering you to back off of the Flynn investigation, why is it that he never took any steps to get you to back off of the Flynn investigation? There's a lot more, too. The bigger bombshells happened with Loretta Lynch and the Obama administration and the Department of Justice. But first, I got to tell you about Mid-State Supply. Now, for you contractors, Mid-State Supply is your best, or Mid-City Supply is your best friend. Because here's why. They have a training program, right? So if you have a homeowner who's saying, I'm going to do a remodel, whether they're going to sell it, whether they're going to upgrade their home or what have you, I have a remodel that I want to do. These are a couple of the ideas that I have. And you as a contractor, of course, your job is to walk them through that, what you can and can't do, what extra steps have to be done to make it successful, the costs, safety, all of that, right? Well, if you go to a hardware store, first of all, you're kind of limited on specialty items. So they've got kind of just the stuff that everybody has, right? But if you buy something at the hardware store and you take it back and you install it, well, guess what? If you run into a problem, who are you going to call to fix the problem or to walk you through it? There's nobody. Mid-City Supply has a whole classroom upstairs. I was at the building just a few weeks ago. They've got a whole classroom and a whole training program for their staff and for contractors to learn how to work with the stuff that they sell. So when you go into Mid-City Supply's bath and kitchen showroom and you're showing your client, the homeowner, the various options that would work in their space for their project, and you've brought the blueprints and the Pinterest ideas and the pictures from the magazines, you already know that the people there at Mid-City Supply can help you install that. They can troubleshoot any problem that you run with. All you have to do is pick up the phone and give them a call, and they can help you out. The best part is, at the Mid-City Supply bath and kitchen showrooms, is that when you make an appointment to go there, that appointment is yours. It's not a cattle call. You make an appointment between a certain time, you go there, the experts meet with you, and that's it. There's no, let's answer the phones, let's deal with other people walking in the door. There's none of that, okay? You are the client and they devote their attention on you. So they're experts. They have the training programs to help you get the project done correctly. And, of course, they just have beautiful, amazing stuff in there that are going to make your clients go absolutely nuts. Mid-city.com is the website. You can also give them a call at 1-800-589-5551. That's 1-800-589-5551. Let Mid-City Supply know that I sent you over there. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel.
KC Hendrickville. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595-953. That is 2595953. Chit-chatting about the Comey testimony. So people want to weigh in. Take those phone calls now. Mike, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Hey, Casey. How you doing?
Doing well, man. What's up?
Not a whole lot. You were military.
Uh-huh.
So you get an order. You have to determine whether it's a lawful order, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he didn't think it was a lawful order and he wasn't going to perform that order, then why didn't he scream like hell about it?
Right. And that's, that was always the big thing about this. If it was obstruction of justice, okay, and that was the worst case scenario, this was obstruction of justice on the president's part, Comey failing to report it would have been a felony.
Exactly.
And again, there's nobody that even said, any of the legal scholars anyway, that were looking at this said, there's nothing here that qualifies as obstruction based on the New York Times article, which was coming from the memo that Comey admitted today he did leak to the press. There was nothing that qualifies as obstruction under the legal definition of obstruction. And
exactly,
so at the absolute worst, you could be like, I don't really like that President Trump did that. He shouldn't have done that. It was the wrong move because of the optics. That's your worst case scenario. But there's nothing criminal or illegal about it. And if there was, James Comey would be the one that committed the more egregious offense there by not reporting it. He was asked about it. He said, "Why didn't you report it?" I don't really have an answer for you, he said.
Right.
And that's because it wasn't criminal and it wasn't anything to set off alarms in his head. He can try and say that, it kind of concerned me, and that's fine. But if it were actually criminal, if the president had looked at him and said, "You're going to drop this Flynn thing or else," that would have obviously set off alarm bells, and he probably would have told somebody. But because he didn't, it's because it didn't set off those alarms.
Right. And he didn't consider it an order. He's just saying that now because he's pissed off that he got fired.
Yeah, I think so. And, it's, like I said, it's, the left right now, many drivers fighting with me on Twitter right now, if you can believe it.
I can't even imagine.
But you have these celebrities out there that have been tweeting these things out. It's like they didn't watch what the testimony was, and they're just reading headlines about the testimony. And as I said, in the 2 o'clock hour, I had NBC, CNN, ABC, and I read multiple articles that had Comey's testimony verbally, as they were transcribing it, incorrect. They were saying that Trump ordered Comey to end the investigation into Flynn. He never gave that order, and Comey never testified that he gave that order.
Exactly.
So there's a huge difference between interpretation and what actually happened.
Yep. No, I agree. Well, that's all I got.
All right, buddy. Appreciate the call.
Thank you.
All right. 574-2595-953. Dan, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Casey. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. What's up? I'm fighting with Minnie Driver. It can't be a bad day, right?
Right. Actually, I haven't heard anything else about this, and I watched the testimony this afternoon, or this morning, I should say. Was John McCain having like a Nancy Pelosi moment, or what was going on with him? Cause
with the thing comment? You're talking about the thing comment that he was doing?
Yeah. He seemed not to be able to grasp the whole thing with Clinton's emails, and how that had nothing at all to do with what they were doing there.
Well, and that was just it. And again, the Department of Justice came up in the testimony, and, we learned a lot that we had learned before, but it was confirmed now. Before it was anonymous sources and leakers and things like that. And like I said, you know how I feel about anonymous sources. They don't give you any documentation. It's not credible. But Comey has confirmed now that Loretta Lynch and the Obama Department of Justice did, in fact, obstruct a criminal investigation of Hillary Clinton.
Right.
And, that's been the big bombshell today. So now what the liberals are doing is I got one guy tweeting at me right now like, oh, I can't defend Trump on this, so I'm going to bring up, Obama. Well, Comey brought up Obama. I didn't bring him up. Comey's the one that brought up the DOJ. But, yeah, it looked like McCain, he's been having these moments more and more. I mean, he's an old man, dude. I mean, I've met the guy. He's nice. We've always, for the most part, gotten along. I just disagree with him like 70% of the time. And and he, I'm actually more of a fan of his daughter than I am of him. And I think a lot of conservatives don't like Meghan because they don't like her dad. And I don't think that's fair for her because I think she gives a fairly balanced right center viewpoint. Don't always agree with her either. Yeah, I don't. I think she had the best comment about all of this today after Trump's attorney went out and gave that horrible press conference. I think she had the best.
Ridiculous.
It was terrible. She goes, he needs to fire his entire communications team and start over.
Yep.
And I agree with her 100%. She's right about that. But yeah, her dad had some moments today that I think he was trying to get to something and he lost his train of thought and he never just backed out of it. And he should have and just circled back. But he came off like he was having a Pelosi moment, like you said.
Right. I was wondering if maybe he had a chance after that to gather his thoughts and maybe bring it up in the closed door meeting. Maybe,
but we won't know.
Right.
Yeah, we're not going to get a lot out of that meeting. I mean, there will be a leak here and there and that sort of thing, but we're not going to get a ton out of that meeting.
Right.
And there's reasons for that, and we can respect that. We've got multiple investigations of high-ranking political figures, and there's at least one that involves a foreign country, and there's going to be stuff that we're not going to know.
Right.
But
since Comey did actually, state for the record in front of nationwide, worldwide news that Obama's DOJ broke the law, and if I assume correctly, that's a felony obstruction charge, right?
Look, it could be. I am not a lawyer, but I'll tell you what, that certainly meets the markers of obstruction a heck of a lot more than anything in the Trump administration. That's for sure.
Right.
And Comey even said it was very concerning. I mean, he was asked point blank, did her meeting with Bill Clinton kind of affect things? And he said
it absolutely did.
So, as you look at this, CNN's King, he already admitted that the media is going to bury Comey's account of the Lynch stuff. And you're absolutely right. I mean, we've had 2-3 major scandals now involving criminality of the Obama administration since they've left office.
Right.
And so
I'm just wondering, is anything ever going to come of that?
No, nothing at all. Like I said, Congress, yesterday, they issued the report on Fast and Furious, finding that the Attorney General, Eric Holder, did, in fact, withhold information from Congress illegally. And nothing's ever going to come from that. You have these reports and things like that, so they'll be in the annals of history, but it's not going to be anything that is going to be used by any lawyer to file any charges. Lois Lerner is not going to be charged with anything. Loretta Lynch is not going to be charged with anything. It's not going to happen.
See, as citizens of this country, though, don't we have a right to demand justice?
Sure. Absolutely, 100%. But you're dealing with the political class. And the political class, it doesn't matter if they disagree with each other. They believe they're superior.
Huh. Yeah, well, my Second Amendment claims otherwise.
Well, yeah, there's that. But all right, buddy, I got to roll, man. Appreciate the call.
Thanks, Casey.
All right, you bet. We've got more of your comments and questions about the Comey testimony. Like I said, the big thing here is that Comey said some things that the left is claiming victory over Trump, but they're putting words in his mouth, and he's putting words in the president's mouth. There are other things that the right is claiming victory on, and yeah, they can to an extent. And then really there's some things that both sides are just kind of claiming victory or poo-pooing for no reason. Comey went in there today and said the Obama administration sucks, Hillary Clinton sucks, and Trump sucks. That's basically what he said. I mean, he fired shots at all of them, and probably rightfully so. And from his standpoint, what he is saying is that my integrity and the FBI's integrity has to rise above all of this. Literally 2 weeks after the FISA court says the FBI under this man was constantly breaking the law, and he just got sued this week or last week for illegally spying on Americans and sharing that data with third parties illegally. So, he can talk about his integrity all he wants, but he doesn't have much. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel.
Mid-States Construction, one of the nation's leading authorized builders of new core building systems. On News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel, your breaking news and weather station. Casey Hendrickson.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595-953. That is 2595-953. You can also send me a text message at 45364. Please put MNC at the beginning of that message. We'll take some phone calls again on the Comey testimony about Trump and, about the Obama administration, too. Jeez. And the Hillary campaign. But first, I want to play this audio here with Comey admitting to leaking his memo to the New York Times. Now, the Trump administration is challenging the timeline on this thing and saying that actually the information was leaked before Trump had tweeted that out. I'll let them fight that out. He is admitting that he did leak his memo, excerpts from the memo to the press, and we have now figured out who that person is, but that's a sidebar, I guess. We did that in the 3 o'clock hour. So here's Comey admitting to leaking.
Finally, did you show copies of your memos to anyone outside of the Department of Justice?
Yes.
And to whom did you show copies?
I asked, President tweeted on Friday after I got fired that I better hope there's not tapes. I woke up in the middle of the night on Monday night, because it didn't dawn on me originally, that there might be corroboration for our conversation. There might be a tape. And my judgment was I needed to get that out into the public square. And so I asked a friend of mine to share the content of the memo with a reporter. Didn't do it myself for a variety of reasons, but I asked him to because I thought that might prompt the appointment of a special counsel. And so I asked a close friend of mine to do it.
And was that Mr. Wittes?
No.
Who was that?
A good friend of mine who's a professor at Columbia Law School.
Yeah, we ended up finding out who it is, and he's now come forward and admitted it. But some people have sent me a text message and goes, okay, so how long is he going to get behind bars for doing this? Well, here's the thing. Since his testimony ended earlier today, legal scholars have been battling back and forth on whether or not the leaking of that particular memo is illegal. Okay, some are saying that when you have a meeting with the president, executive privilege is always in force. And therefore, if you were to leak that information of a private meeting with the president to anybody, you have violated the law by leaking classified information. The other line of thinking is this was not an official meeting. This was a dinner. He was invited to dinner. He was told that his family would be invited, but then that changed and they would be invited later. So because this was a personal dinner, this is no different than two individuals who had a conversation and somebody telling a friend and it getting out. So there are two lines of thinking on that. I don't know which one's correct. There are more brilliant legal minds. Obviously, they're going to come out with statutes and things like that over the next 24, 48 hours that will dictate where I fall on that issue. But there are arguments for and against it being privileged information. And so as people continue to talk about it, of course, we'll learn more, but it may not have been illegal for him to leak that information. So just keep that in the back of your mind right now. William, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Hey, Casey. How you doing?
Doing well. What's up?
Well, I watched a little bit of the hearing this morning. I saw the couple of people up to Dianne Feinstein and heard another one on the radio after that.
Okay.
And just that and looking at some of the commentary this afternoon, those kinds of things, just overwhelmed sort of with the sense of the futility of all of this, that our political system is just completely messed up. And it kind of doesn't matter which side of the argument you're on either way, that both sides coming out and claiming victory and grandstanding like this is the vindication of Donald Trump on one side or the cursing of him on the other side. It's just
and the truth is somewhere in the middle, like it usually is, right?
Yeah,
so,
I mean, the reality is we're so polarized and broken, and not even just in the political sphere. I mean, in the country in general, that both sides are going to look at this and not believe how the other side can possibly believe what they believe.
Right. Yeah. And we're seeing that right now on social media. It's hysterical. Like Minnie Driver, the reason I tweeted at her was she was wearing an Obama hoodie. and she's like celebrating this, and I'm like, I was like, Minnie Driver's oblivious that Comey just admitted the Obama Department of Justice obstructed justice in a criminal investigation of Hillary. So, okay, it's one thing if you don't like Trump and you're like, oh, man, I hope he goes down. It's another to be wearing the mug of the guy who was leading the government, that this FBI director that you're rooting to take down the current president just testified.
Yep. The
guy on your shirt, his administration obstructed justice and interfered in a criminal investigation.
Mm-hmm.
That's tone deaf is what that is.
Yeah, and both sides are, and it's just it's frustrating. We so desperately need to fruit basket upset Washington, throw out everybody, and just plain start over.
Well, and I think Schumer's comments after this are proof positive of what you're saying. Schumer's like, there's a darker cloud over this man than there ever has. And no, actually today, if you wanted to award a winner, today would be Trump won. And he would win because Comey confirmed that the New York Times and CNN and everybody else saying that he's under investigation for Russia is not true. So he wins on that. You could say that it's a draw on the. I hope you drop the Flynn thing because both sides are interpreting that from a legal standing. It nothing harmed Trump today.
Yeah, that was sort of the impression that I had listening to the testimony, but just the way both sides are spinning it, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're both getting a little nuts about this, and the press conference with his lawyer today was a giant mistake.
Well, keep voicing some reason out there. Appreciate you.
Trying, man. All right, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you much. All right, folks, I got to tell you about Temper Grill. So Temper Grill, it's called Food with Attitude for a reason. And, well, a couple of reasons, but one is, well, the food has attitude there. If you've not eaten at Temper Grill, you have to go. I had some people there that were from Elkhart yesterday, and they didn't initially know who I was, but they had said, you know what? We're from Elkhart, and nobody in Elkhart knows about this place, and it is so good. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, you know what? I have had a lot of listeners from Elkhart say that they want to try Temper Grill, but they've never come down and actually tried it. And then a few of my friends who have from Elkhart, they love it. They absolutely love it. So I don't know if it's a call to action for all of you folks, not in the Mishawaka, Granger, South Bend area to go ahead and try Temper Grill, but it really is a treasure in Michiana, and there's nothing like it in our community. The food is just astounding. The atmosphere is perfect for any occasion. It's 21 and over. You don't got to worry about kids running around in a thing. And they just have these amazingly creative dishes, and you get a special 20% off just because you're a listener of my program. So all you got to do is go into Temper Grill, make your reservations, please, either at tempergrill.com, their Facebook page, or by calling and speaking with a representative. Make your reservations because it does fill up fast, and they are frequently booked. But make that reservation. Go to Temper Grill. Let the server know before you order that we're here with the MNC loyalty program because we listen to Casey over at 95.3 MNC. They'll put a 20% discount on your food. There's a couple of restrictions. They'll go over that with you. There's not many. And then just know that you can't combine that with any other offer. So you save 20%. You go have amazing food at an amazing place. Take somebody who deserves a great date night and enjoy yourselves. There's a reason I've been endorsing this place for years now. It's just phenomenal. By the way, 2017 Best Wings in Michiana winner. Tempergrill.com is the website. Temper Grill, food with attitude. More coming up, 95.3 MNC.
KC Hendrickson, News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Some of you still not convinced that Comey is still somehow damaging to the president. Let me go ahead and read from you the transcript. I don't have the audio. With an exchange between Comey and Senator James Risch he's a Republican from Idaho. Risch says, I want to drill right down, as my time is limited, to the most recent dust-up regarding allegations that the President of the United States obstructed justice. And boy, you nailed this down on page 5. Paragraph 3. You put this in quotes. Words matter. You wrote down the words so we can all have the words in front of us now. There's 28 words that are in quotes, and it says, quote, I hope. This is the president speaking. I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. He is a good guy. I hope you can let this go. Now, those are his exact words. Is that correct? Comey says correct. And you wrote them here and you put them in quotes. Comey says correct. Thank you for that. He did not direct you to let it go. Comey says, not in his words, no. So while everybody's out there saying, oh, the right's just hanging on this I hope bit, Comey directly, when asked, point blank, he did not direct you to let go. Comey said, not in his words, no. Risch then says he did not order you to let it go. Comey again, those words are not in order. Risch then says, no, he said, I hope. Now, like me, you probably did hundreds of cases, maybe thousands of cases, charging people with criminal offenses. And of course, you have knowledge of the thousands of cases out there where people have been charged. Do you know of any case where a person has been charged for obstruction of justice, or for the matter that any other criminal offense, where they said or thought they hoped for an outcome? Comey says, I don't know well enough to answer. And the reason I keep saying his words, I took it as a direction. Risch says, right. Comey then says, I mean, it's the President of the United States with me alone saying, I hope this. I took it as this is what he wants me to do. I didn't obey that, but that's the way I took it. You may have taken it as a direction, but that's not what he said. Comey, correct. Risch then says, he said, I hope. Comey, those are exact words. Correct. You don't know of anybody that's been charged for hoping something. Comey says, I don't, as I sit here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's over, folks. It's over. So, again, if you want to assign a winner today from facts, okay, Trump wins. It's not like a giant exoneration or anything like that. What really, the loser here is not Comey, but the loser is the media. The media lost out because even Chris Matthews from Hardball on MSNBC, he even said today the Russia collusion narrative fell apart today. Because it's nonsense. It always has been nonsense. So New York Times, CNN, all of these places reporting that Trump is under investigation for Russia. All of those liberal websites, Trump is under investigation for Russia. Comey's out there going, no, he's not. He never was. I told him that multiple times. 3 times he told him that. And then when it comes to Flynn, I hope you can let this go. Well, I took that as a direction. Then when asked point blank, but did he direct you? No. It's over. It's done. You know, there is no further argument on this. It is finished. The only criminal anything we got out of this was obstruction of justice under the Obama's Department of Justice investigation of Hillary. Kennedy's next.
WTRC-FM and HD1, Niles, South Bend, Elkhart. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.